to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Aye, the tide still flows and the wind still blows, and it's time for us to leave her. Was a magic fog upon the sea. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. It obscured both friend and enemy. Now it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Aye, the tide still flows and the wind still blows, and it's time for us to leave her. And the Grendel came with the rising sun. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. They outnumbered us near 3 to 1, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Aye, the tide still flows and the wind still blows, and it's time for us to leave her. So with fire and sword we forged ahead. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Leaving naught but wrecks and bloody dead. And now it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Aye, the tide still flows and the wind still blows, and it's time for us to leave her. Near 100 ships were lost that day. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. In our defeat at Catazar Bay, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Aye, the tide still flows and the wind still blows, and it's time for us to leave her. So we limped back to the freeborn shore. Leave her, Johnny, leave her, where they told us she would sail no more. And now it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Aye, the tide still flows and the wind still blows, but it's time for us to leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny.
Hello everyone, we'll do the inevitable audio issues in a second, because I'll probably be too loud as normal. Thanks for coming along to another stream here where we're going to chat about Dawn and inevitably Glory. They can't hear me, coming in really quiet, excellent. There we go, turn me up a lot. Okay, turn me up a fair bit actually, because it seems to be very quiet. Is it muted? No. Sharp, Scott. So we're going to be here. We're going to be chatting about Dawn today and everything that we know about Dawn. Because am I still really quiet? Yeah. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. I'll turn myself up full. This is the first that I've been quiet on a stream. It really is. So we're gonna have a chat about Dawn, and we'll get them, and we'll go from there. So if you have any questions about anything to do with Dawn, the virtues, or anything like that, then we can go from there. That's better. That's good. Okay. So We'll go around and we'll do the introductions. So you all know, obviously, who I am. I'm Steve. I play Mac in Wintermark. Really bad Irish accent, and generally I have lots of drugs with me, all in character. So if we work our way, we'll work our way around. Whoever wants to go next to do the introductions.
Hi, I'm Ginny. I play Vivian de Coderfair. I'm a troubadour to ambition. I play Out of Dawn.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I play Clarice Navarian, who's Courage Priest, currently the Cardinal of Courage, for reasons best known to her assembly.
Hi, I'm Sally. I play Renai de Rondel, also a Troubadour of Dawn. I think I'm the token non-cardinal here on this chat.
I'm not.
Apparently everyone else is quiet as well.
Yeah, I've turned everyone up full now as well. But it's nice to have this one instead of it being sounding awful and stuff, so that's a good thing. So I've turned everyone else up to maximum. So
In which case I'm going to say something just to see how that is.
So
Yeah,
it should
sure.
be Cardinal Mac sounds fitting. Thank you, fam. I like that. Yeah, Cardinal Mac of... Oh, I dread to think. I've got all my volumes at maximum, and the only person I can hear is the people on the left. That's bizarre. Turned up to 11, peak dawn. Excellent. So, I think we've got Mr. Matt Dawes-Wood in again. So he is our linker extraordinaire as well. So we'll the orcs. It was easy to get started because there are so many questions there about the orcs and virtues and things like that. Dawn is a little bit more difficult for me because Dawn you're just Dawnish, and it's like, yeah, you're Dawnish, yay, and stuff like that. So what would be the best way to? We'll start with Ellie on my right. What would be how would you describe Dawn when it comes to... Oh, there we go, the perfect one. Matt, first question. What would you say is the most popular virtue in Dawn?
That's actually quite difficult. One would assume that it was like sort of pride or courage or something like that. But I think there's a tendency for people to look at that as really obvious and then kind of be like, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. That's super obvious. There are not actually that many. I mean, I don't actually know. It depends on who turns up to the assembly meetings. There are not huge numbers of courage dedicants in Dawn that I'm aware of who are active in the Synod game, which is not at all the same thing as the number of people who are into that virtue in Dawn. It's, again, like pride dedicants tend to be loud about it. I know of a fair few prosperity dedicants, especially yo folk, but I think I'm maybe not the best placed person to talk about that.
Okay.
There's a fair few ambition. There's some loyalty. There's vigilance around the Vexil. There's the Orzels have their pride. There's a lot.
It's a really broad spread, I'd say. I don't think there are any virtues that aren't seen as Dawnish. You know, you maybe have not so many noble prosperity dedicants, but then I think it's got a really strong presence among some of the yo folk players.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like, sort of it doesn't distribute evenly across the various kind of archetypes and whatnot.
Okay.
But I definitely know of quite a few people who are sort of perhaps quite quietly but staunchly playing the prosperity game, which is really cool because it's very easy to sort of say, oh, well, that doesn't sound very Dawnish. But prosperity is not just about money, so...
No.
Yep.
So go on.
Numbers, words, and the other one, there's 3 yo folk who are doing a really good game in prosperity right now.
Okay.
It's really interesting to watch.
I don't think I've met them. Awesome.
So within Dawn then, because you have my very, very limited knowledge of Dawn, you have yo folk, so that's bottom rung, and then is it no? Okay.
No.
See, I'm learning here. I'm learning.
Just to leap in quickly, I think I've always thought that it's very easy to put down Yo folk as being the bottom rung and the sort of nobles to be above them. Dawn explicitly isn't a medieval feudal society.
Okay.
It is a meritocracy. It is meant to be fiercely competitive, and I think within that, I've also always seen Yo folk as having a huge amount of power within their own area. A Yo folk seneschal has complete control over the finances of their house. I would feel really awkward if I tried to, spend money without any permission at all from my seneschal. He might have stern words with me.
I get given
He has
money.
all over the economy. The nobles are a military caste. They're a very performative caste. Not entirely military, but I suppose, yeah, that's a fair point. But the nobles are. They have one particular.
They're a prestige. There's a prestige class. Yo folk have less prestige in Dornish culture.
Okay.
But that is really very much not the same thing as not having influence or not having power or not having wealth even. Like there's a whole thing about how kind of, you can be a very, very prosperous and wealthy Yo folk. And you can be shit poor and a noble. Ask me about that sometime. And
Hello. Oh, do you have a congregation as well? 18 rings and a now habit.
We have no money. Which is interesting because you're sort of walking around in this sort of like, sort of glitzy, expensive looking kit, and you're like, I have 5 rings.
And cake.
Yeah.
That's what happens to the rest of the ring.
I don't buy cake at Anvil. I can't afford cake at Anvil. I can't afford the looking glass. That's how tragically poor we are. But like, there is absolutely kind of a like, not military, like we were saying, but kind of like a. I don't know. I think the best analogy I've heard somebody use is a bit like it's a bit like the football team or something. So there are the people who go and do the stuff that is on TV and you're on screen doing glitzy stuff. But you cannot do that stuff without all of the other people around it making it work behind the scenes. I think there were interesting cultural conversations to be had within Dawn about sort of how much the relative distribution of credit for what goes on. Across those social layers, and it will vary depending on who you ask.
Okay.
I think that's why I switched from military to performative.
Yeah.
Nobles are kind of the people who stand on the stage. They have a certain role within Dawn for that. And apologies if my laptop goes, my cat is trying to eat the power cable. But I think, and Yo folk are the producers, as it were.
Okay.
They are.
Yes, producer. Sometimes
women use a modern analogy.
Yeah, and I mean, sort of meritocracy allegedly, conceptually, should be a meritocracy. One of the complications that I love about this brief actually is the fact that everybody likes to say that anybody can pass a test of metal, but actually, if you think about it and look at it factually, I think you'll find that most nobles are the children of nobles because you get the upbringing and the training and the education that makes it easier to pass a test of metal. It's kind of a bit like the state school kids in Oxbridge thing in real life. Like, I mean, that's me. But like, the people who do it are very inclined to say, well, I did it, so anybody can do it. Which is not socially strictly actually true.
Bearing in mind we're talking about troubadours and the virtue within Dawn.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I love this brief. It's really interesting.
It's because the Dornish brief is amazing. But troubadours fit a really interesting role within the noble Yo folk divide as one of the places where they can cross over an awful lot.
Okay. Well, as I said, we've got 3 questions lined up already, so we are doing well. So, first one, what's the benefit to get dedicated? That's from Ben.
I mean, what do we mean by benefit here? Kind of, does it?
Yeah, what's the reason or benefit? I mean, Ben's a new player. I will hasten to add as well. So so a lot of people that I get onto this stream are very new players. I should have mentioned this beforehand, but
okay, cool. Sorry, I don't know what we're doing here.
It's fine. Don't worry. So it's it's literally think of it as you are literally explaining it to a brand new player. So I think we should treat that with all the questions. To be honest.
So like with dedication is really for me, that's a it's a really in character decision. It's kind of a decision that your character is making about the path their soul is going to take through the labyrinth. This is how you're going to come eventually to sort of transcending the labyrinth at some point. So kind of tangible mechanical benefits, not so much really. If you're a priest, then it means that you can perform the ceremonies of that virtue, and you can sort of hook up with other priests to make your ceremonies more powerful. But overwhelmingly, really, it's a decision that you make because your character wants to take that path, or they feel this is right for them, or sort of for something that's happened to them to make them want to. But I mean, there's people by no means have to dedicate. You know, most people don't. Sort of in setting, I believe most citizens of the Empire are not dedicated, and that's fine. So it's kind of it's something that you do if it seems right to your character, and this is a focus they have.
On an out of character level, just sort of to add to that, although I completely agree, there's absolutely no tangible mechanical benefit. I personally found it gave me certain benefits in terms of shaping and guiding how I wanted to go as a role player.
Yeah.
I chose to be dedicated to ambition very specifically because as a player, I'm inclined to be not as proactive as I could be. My inclination is to sort of sit back a little bit and try and be a bit helpful and not push myself forward. And ambition for me was incredibly helpful because what I suddenly had was an character framework, a support structure that said, go on, go do it.
That's a really good point, actually, yeah.
And I think the other virtues have that as well, though I know less about them, of course.
Okay. All of the virtues are massively good role-playing aids and tools to help you get the best out of the game. It's a fantastically useful thing. As well as that, honestly, role-playing through dedication ceremonies is one of the things I like best about priest. Being able to share that with someone and give, like, you are part of something bigger. Here is us and you changing the world just by choosing to take that step. It's amazing. I love it.
It can be really intense, actually. Kind of, even if it's really sort of low key and private, it can sort of feel very like, wow, I've made a momentous decision.
I personally, I love all that sort of the role play, the little things that happen. So, like, speaking as someone who's changed nation twice, it's a really good. I really like that side of it. I mean, the first change from when I started in Urizen and went to Navarre, that was very much Steve had made a mistake in joining and starting off in Urizen. I did not enjoy Urizen, so so that was really good. Changing over, so I like all of that, and the whole. As I said yesterday, it was like the virtues is something I actively avoided at the very beginning of play. And I've been playing Mac for like 5-6 years, and I hated it. I just wanted to avoid it, and now it's sort of like it's all been sort of like it follows you around. It follows you around like a bad smell. It really, really does. But it gives you some really fantastic roleplay moments. It's really, really good. So you're going into my experience will be in battles and getting someone coming up to you when you're falling back, and you'll get a priest of courage or a guide of courage or someone like that, and they'll come up to you and it'll be like, no, we can do this, push on, really go, and you get all like the hair, you get goosebumps and the hairs on the back of your neck will stand up, and then you just go charging in, and it just feels so good and stuff like that, and it's really, really nice. I actually made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up when I did that. So. But it's such a good feeling that everything can bring it brings to the game. So
that is honestly one of the best things about the troubadour archetype. As like a lot of priest archetypes across different nations are very performative, but troubadours are absolutely. This is about what they do.
Yeah.
In very different ways. It is about we are here to make this big. We're here to show you your glory, your potential, and force you to live up to it.
Yeah.
Strongly encourage.
So we have another question. We've got a few questions still. Who wants to take the next one?
Sally.
Sal? Yeah? What personally drew you to joining Dawn as a nation?
I have a really sad, shallow answer to this. People have asked me that before. I just
Okay.
think the sleeve's brilliant. Like literally, that was it. I wanted really big sleeves. I mean, there's lots of other things I really love about it. I think it's found it to be a really welcoming nation. I think it's got a culture again of encouraging proactive play, of going out and doing things. I like just the physical setup of the glory square, so that you kind of walk around it and everyone's sort of got their tent sort of facing out on the glory square and might stop and chat. And I think there's all that's brilliant. But yeah, no, mostly I just really wanted gigantic sleeves.
Not that dissimilar, actually. I mean, so I've been playing this character since year 1, event 1.
Yeah.
So when how was she still alive? I don't understand. She was supposed to be a 2-event concept. So it was very sort of, we didn't know exactly what it was going to be like when I decided, but not dissimilar. I love the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic. I liked a lot of I found the brief interesting. I found the social structure of it interesting, as you can already probably tell from my rambling. And then I was sort of told that somebody I knew was looking for people to join a quote-unquote dysfunctional nightly order. And I said, that sounds right up my street, awesome. But I think, yeah, one of the reasons it sounded awesome was the amount of passion in the Dornish brief. And about, not just about wearing your heart on your sleeve, but sort of going absolutely hell for leather for anything that you do. And being loud and being a raging trash fire very loudly and obviously, if that's what you are.
You?
And I'm here for that. I'm here for weeping my own tears while railing at the sky, you know?
Nice.
I don't really want to sort of be like, it's fine.
Awesome.
So weirdly enough, I joined Dawn for the people. There were a player group already in existence who said, "Come along, try it out, join our group. It'll be cool." And I looked at the Dawn brief and the heart on your sleeve thing, and I was like, "That's not the most me brief I've ever seen," and it's absolutely pulled me in. It's just amazing having this excuse to just push and go, because Empire is so much. You've got to make your own game.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to go out there and choose stuff to do. It doesn't come to you. And I could very, very easily have been like, I quite like the idea of Urizen, and then I'd have stuck in a hole. Instead, I've just gone out and met so many people and had the opportunity to do so much stuff. Dawn is fantastic for forcing you to go big or go home.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the good thing about all of the briefs across all the nations. So when I went to Wintermark, and I remember talking to people around what would become my hall and all of this, and everyone was looking at me going, "You're a Steiner, you're a Steiner, you're a Steiner." And then the more you talk to people about it, and then it became very, very clear. It's like, nope, Mac is definitely a Calavasi. Well, 100% a Calavasi. And that's not just the drugs either. That's the whole thing, and like animal totemic magic and all of that sort of stuff. It's a whole thing, and I fell in love with that, and it was amazing. But that will be another stream when we talk about Wintermark and go into all of their shenanigans. What we had next? Fal's asked an interesting one. So if we went like that, we'll go back round the other way this time.
Your screen is not in the same order as my screen, so
this is true. But I like to confuse everyone. So we'll go for Ginny first then. So are there any exemplars or paragons that were Dornish, and do you preach about them as iconic figures to look up to and seek guidance from?
All the fucking time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Adelmar the Lion. Adelmar the Lion is an exemplar of ambition and one of my favourite go-tos. There's Rishild, Queen of Dawn and Empress, as an exemplar of pride. Or is she a parrot? There's Gilda Ashwine of courage. There's fucking pick them. Dawn has stories, and that's one of the things about being a troubadour. You get to tie all of this in. So someone sits there and says, am I good enough? And you're like, this is your lineage, this is your heritage, this is who you are and who you can be. You are part of this. In the same tapestry that has the lion roaring his success across the world, teaching everyone how to fight. Where are you? You can build yourself up with that. You can be as good, if not better. They're amazing, the stories that we've got as seeds. But they'll never be as cool as the stuff that happens in the field.
No.
I love Gilda Ashwine. She's one of my favourite exemplars. Regardless of, I see she's one of my character's favourite exemplars. She's probably her very favourite exemplar, actually, which is not that surprising to anybody who knows her. But OC, I really enjoy it's not a rags to riches story. It's a kind of persistence from a position of very little power story, which I think is extremely it's a powerful, sort of potent kind of a story, especially if you are starting out without very much influence. That's the thing. You come onto a field with a new character with little or no social capital, and you have to build it, and you have to sort of kind of keep going with that. And so kind of OC, I think, is really, really useful. And there were multiple tellings of all of these stories as well, which is brilliant. Because it means that you can argue about them. It's like, well, no, that's not the message in the story about Adelmar or whatever. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
No, I like the unreliability of the Empire mythos hugely.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's left sort of ambiguous in the write-up means that there isn't... no one's going to tell you you're wrong if you come on with an idea about how Adelmar worked. No one's going to be able to say, actually, I think you'll find, had you read page 734, paragraph B of the source book... No one can say that. You can just say, these are the stories that I'm telling. These come from this strand of the tradition, and maybe you've got a different idea, but it's all valid. It all comes down to interpretation on the field.
You do occasionally get some bugger in Highguard who's dug up some artifact somewhere from a tomb somewhere, and it turns out that actually this dude never existed or whatever. But that's super fun, because that really upsets the icy apple cart. And then everybody's like, believed as a lie or whatever, which is brilliant.
That is Highguard though, and no one cares or likes Highguard. So, sorry, Scott. Yeah, no surrender in chat. Yeah, sorry, Scott. You're Highguard, aren't you, mate? I'm so sorry, man. But no one cares about Highguard or likes Highguard, so. I have history with Highguard. Wonderful werewolf story came out about my old character from Highguard. Thank you, Scott. That was awesome. Pish, I've seen what makes you cheer. Yeah, that's true. True story too. So, Matt's asked a really good question. Actually, what role do priests in Dawn play when it comes to the Glory Square?
It depends. So there's loads of different things you can do. The Glory Square, I note, is by and large usually consecrated within about 10 minutes of time in. Usually to Pride, thanks Orzel.
Sometimes Courage.
Sometimes Courage if you manage to get there first.
Don't look at me. Never have I ever consecrated the Glory Square.
Really? Opportunity awaits,
the
clearly.
The only thing I've used the Glory Square for as a priest personally is yelling at people. Normally.
And it's amazing for that. Where else are you going to find a stage? The Glory Square is literally, it's built as a stage. And what are troubadours for unless to make a show?
But not everybody does that. So there are several players who do an absolute just blinder of a job of playing kind of basically the Geoffrey Chaucer archetype from A Knight's Tale. And it is wonderful to behold. It adds so much. But it's by no means necessary to want to do that kind of grandstanding in order to play a priest in Dawn. I hate grandstanding personally, which is challenging with the Dawnish Brief because it really encourages grandstanding. But by no means everybody does it,
Okay. So you got anything to add to that one?
No, I think everyone's sort of said everything that I could have said. I mean, I love the Glory Square. The Glory Square is it's sort of where I very much came of age as a priest in a storytelling competition.
Yeah.
I think it is what you make it to be. And I think it's not essential. You don't have to. You know, there are some troubadours who do an amazing job of doing that Chaucer archetype. Equally, there are some troubadours who will never set foot in the Glory Square. Their role will be entirely in having quieter scenes with people, in guiding them one-on-one, in doing it in different ways. I think the Glory Square is great, but I don't think it's compulsory by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Yeah.
And of course, some troubadours are also combat bunnies and will happily kick seven shades out of one another in the Glory Square, but not so often in a religious capacity, as far as I'm aware.
No. And you get those really childish people who refer to the Glory Square as a different name. I've heard it many times. I don't repeat it myself, but...
Good. Let's move on then.
We'll move on. There was another question. So Ben's asked, are priests always nobles in Dawn, or is it a mix?
No.
Next.
It's a mix.
Yep.
It's a mix. People have different headcanons about this one. Kind of, I tend to feel as though... I mean, it's all a bit below the abstraction layer, but I tend to feel as though probably Yo-folk priests probably mostly minister to other Yo-folk, whereas a noble is unlikely to seek religious advice from Yo-folk because there's a whole caste system and a whole social standing prestige thing, which might not be sort of the way that it works out in reality, of course. But sort of I feel as though the default assumption is probably that if you're a noble, your priest is probably also a noble. But that's not in the brief. That's just my headcanon.
Adam has asked a question. He says, sorry, just beeped at me. I'd like to hear everyone talk about what glory looks like in each of the virtues, i.e., what is glory to someone dedicated to prosperity?
So, to sort of leap ahead, to me, I think it's a good question, but it doesn't completely make sense with my perception of the relationship between the virtues and glory. I've always said in character when asked about it that the virtues are about how you do something. It's something that propels you on and moves you.
Yeah.
Glory is something you achieve. It's kind of a goal or a prize of being virtuous. And in that respect, it is just unlike the virtues, but it can be anything in that what you seek using your virtue can be anything. There is no one ambition. There is no one source of pride. There is no one prosperity. It's about a process, not a sort of descriptive form of outcome.
Yeah.
Virtue leads us to glory. Glory is reputation, it is success or failure, dramatic, it is being remembered, but it's about what you've done. Virtue is doing the thing.
Yeah, I would broadly agree that that's sort of, it's tricky to make that work with at least how my character views the interaction of the two, which is very much what you said, of that kind of thing of you accomplish glory because of the virtuous deeds you have done, rather than necessarily. On the other hand, I absolutely think there's a really interesting conversation to be had about perhaps some virtues more than others, but there's a whole thing about, so courage is the one that I think the most about for obvious reasons. And I think there's a very interesting sort of series of thoughts around courage is often represented as being, sort of de facto glorious, right? It's kind of being sort of dressed up shiny and charging into battle with nary a look behind, etc., etc. But actually, most of the teachings of courage have absolutely nothing to do with fighting. And if you were to ask my character, she would certainly say that most things that are truly, truly courageous are not glorious at all. They don't look glorious. They are sweat and blood and tears and can be terrible experiences that nobody looks pretty while they're doing.
No.
That's an icy opinion. It's talk to a priest about it. You will get a different answer depending on who you ask. It's always an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah. So we have the question. It has appeared. the question.
We're ready.
You ready for this? We'll go with
I don't
Sal.
know.
We'll go, Sal, you can go for this one. We'll field this one to you first, Sal, I think. Ben would like to know, is it time to ask about getting glory made a virtue?
No, because I think it's always I've kind of covered this. Glory isn't an action. A virtue is about a process. It's about how you do something, about how you get along the way. Glory is something you achieve. Glory is awesome and incredible and basically makes us cooler than the other nations. I'm not going to lie. You're better for being glorious. But we're not more virtuous, and glory is not a virtue. You can't have a virtue that isn't an active process.
No,
Yeah.
doesn't get you through the labyrinth. Bugger off.
Oh, poor Ben. Oh, poor Ben.
If you want a literal, here is how you make glory a virtue. Stage 1, find someone who can dedicate anyone to glory. Stage 2, find any virtue auras that glory produces. In your own time, we'll wait.
I've heard rumor. I've heard rumor,
Ooh,
but it was nothing
okay.
but rumor. And also,
Right.
my memory is appallingly bad, so I might have dreamt it.
In which case, once you have some evidence, then we can talk about whether or not it's full.
I mean, if you wanted to do that, what you'd do is you'd get it through the National Assembly, and then you'd put it to the General Assembly. And if you can get a greater majority for change of doctrine, because you'd need to change the doctrine of the seven in order to do that, unless you're swapping one out. In which case, interesting question: is that a change of? Yes, it is a change of doctrine because they are named in the doctrine. You would need to get that through the General Assembly. Good luck.
It's very
brutal. I like it.
Great ambition.
I am pretty sure I have heard. I'll have to check it with someone, but I'm pretty sure someone found a sword that was. I want to say dedicated, but it's not dedicated, is it?
Hallowed.
Yeah, to glory.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the rumours. I've certainly heard of such things.
Because I know the person who's got it. I'll have to check with him to find out what it was. But it was.
So it is
I'll find that one out.
worth noting that at least one item was that someone said, "Oh, this is hallowed to a false virtue." The hallowing wording was very, very similar to a true virtue hallowing. So it's possible that
that's a whole interesting kettle of fish.
I know, right? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do if you want to explore it.
There you go, Ben.
Have fun with that game.
We left you with a positive, mate. So your first game, I look forward to seeing you get executed for heresy.
No, it takes way more.
No, we did establish it's going to take a while. So Ben, first game, mate, you've got your work cut out. You've got a lot of stuff to do. So this is going to be good for you.
It's going to be great.
Ben is very excited and really looking forward to joining Dawn. So he's doing really, really well. So
come and join Dornish Heresy Club, which doesn't exist and isn't a thing.
What was the next one?
Matt? I'm pretty sure it's just Heresy Club. We're not specific about it being Dornish.
Is there gin involved?
In Heresy Club?
Okay, we go.
On the other hand, there is Gin Club, which possibly might involve heresy. So
no, they're talking about Gin Club. I feel betrayed.
There's Gin Club.
Yeah.
The New Promise Cartel have in fact a gin palace.
Yep. I know a few people who attend Gin Club.
It's Brass Coast.
I think I've attended once, and that was only to have drinks and then leave. But yeah, virtues. Should gin be a virtue? No, sorry, I'll digress. So Matt's asked another question. Are there any myths you would like to dispel about Dawn, the way and the virtues? That's a good question. I'll open that one to anyone. I'm the worst person to ask.
I'd like to dispel the myth that to play in Dawn, and particularly to be glorious, you have to explicitly be physically competent,
Mm-hmm.
and that glory is all about martial prowess, because it absolutely
Mhm.
and categorically is not.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most pernicious myth that I sort of run into.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The glorious flower arranger and be the greatest flower arranger the world has ever seen, and bring people to tears with your incredible botanical displays.
Yeah,
That is completely glorious.
that is noble shit. That is tested metal stuff. You know, like that absolutely counts. Yeah, I mean, sort of. I've already said it. Going to say it again. Courage is not about physical prowess. It's not about warfare. The only bit in the teachings of courage which mentions fighting compares it unfavorably to facing unwelcome troops. Right?
Yes.
It is astonishing how many people reduce it to valor on the battlefield, which is relevant, don't get me wrong, but it is so not the most interesting bit of the virtue, and it winds me up because I physically can't fight anymore. So I'm, yeah, that one bothers me, and it makes it less accessible than it genuinely is.
But that's a challenge for everyone in Dawn, there, isn't it? To be recognised for courage that isn't on the battlefield.
I don't think it's a challenge in Dawn particularly, except insofar as the brief does encourage a certain focus on martial stuff, although decreasingly so as we go forward, I think. But it's... I haven't heard that specifically from Dawnish, actually. I think it's a much broader assumption.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Dawnish religion, actually, one of the ones that I think I have repeatedly seen people kind of be put off by is the idea that in order to play a troubadour, you have to be musical, or you have to sing, you have to play, you have to perform, and it's absolutely not true. Like, yes, that's a part of the archetype. It's one super iconic way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can sing, but I hate performing. Out of character, I absolutely loathe it. So I made my character have hang-ups, shall we say, about a bunch of things, including that. And that's not how I do priesting at all. And it doesn't... I don't think she's any less Dawnish for not doing that. So, yeah, you don't have to sing, you don't have to play an instrument, you don't have to be happy standing on a podium and declaiming at a crowd.
Yeah.
Lots of people do it much more quietly than that, or in completely different ways.
The more I think about it, I think there's going to be that sort of thing across all of the nations. Every nation will have that part of the nation which will have that rumour going around about them all, and things like that. So the troubadour is obviously a good one to get. I think I might have to make a note of that question to ask every single nation. Because I think that's a really good question. I'll keep that one. Cheers, Matt. So, are there any others? Any other rumours that need to be dispelled about Dawn or the Way, or?
Probably, but I think those two are the ones that are most likely to turn people off out of character. A lot of the other rumours, they're just fun.
Yeah, I think my biggest one is prosperity. Is about money. That's the one that gets me a lot. There's a bar in the Navarre that's a prosperity bar, and I went and told them a story about the battle I'd just been in, and they gave me a drink on how much they thought my story was worth. So I had a full tankard. I was proud. So it was good, and then and that was it. So that was quite nice. So it was there are people out there who are changing that, but that's my personal pet peeve. So what have we got next? We've got Dawn. She has asked. She is a Dawnish player. Yes, and she has asked, what concepts would you like to see more of in play in Dawn?
Weaver cabals,
cabals. I really want to see more of them. If I die, that's sort of next on my list of things I would really like to do.
I didn't actually catch that. Sorry, what do you say?
Weaver cabals.
Weaver cabals, yes. Love weavers. Weavers are super cool. Also more yo-folk, actually. I would love to see more yo-folk, which feels vaguely hypocritical of me because I gender noble. But I just I think it's really cool and kind of... I don't want to say underexplored. That sounds really kind of really judgy, but I just think they're awesome. And they add sort of, you know, it really brings it to life.
I really like a house with a mix of Yo and nobles.
Mm-hmm.
It builds a huge amount more depth to the world, to those interactions, to the responsibility of being a noble rather than just the privilege.
If somebody eventually murders my character for being too irritating, then like I'm totally coming back in as Yofa at least for the rest of the event. Like I'm really quite looking forward to that prospect of just sort of sitting in a corner and I will don my broken kit and I will talk shit about nobles behind their backs.
I have to say, actually, as someone who came in playing Yo Folk, then went through my test of metal in game, I kind of miss Yo at sometimes. It was a lot of fun, and I think that's another thing that's also always worth reminding people, that if you come in playing a Yo Folk, that doesn't close off Noble to you. And the in-game tests of metal are huge amounts of fun, or can be at any rate.
And I mean, if it's not fun, you can do it off screen. Like, that is legit. If you don't, I mean, I gender noble because OC, I didn't want the stress at that point in my life of feeling that there was a thing that I had to achieve, And people harp a lot on sort of you must go onto the field with goals, but that's not true for everybody. And for me, it's absolutely not true. So I knew that I didn't want to do that. But if I hadn't gender noble, then it would have made me feel more chilled out if I knew that I could quietly do it off screen. And not make it too overblown because the coolest thing should be happening on screen.
Yes.
But it's an option. It's fine.
I think we've mentioned test of metal. Matt's asked another one. What place do the virtues have when it comes to a test of metal?
Depends a bit on who's setting the test of metal. Tests of metal are more honestly, they're really a test of glory and or skill. They're where the meritocracy bit comes in. So like if the Earl setting the test is big on virtue, or thinks, for example, that sort of the character in question could do with paying a bit more attention to pride in their life or whatever, then the test might well have that as a component or sort of speak to that virtue. Like, I don't know, if somebody's super diffident and kind of like, oh no, I suck, but I want to do a test of metal anyway, then I can quite imagine a test going. And now you must convince a priest of pride from each nation that you're sort of similar. But many tests don't have that as an explicit component. And your character reasons to dedicate. Your character might interpret it in a particular way if that's important to them. With a lot of tests, I think there are easier and harder ways that one can go around the houses to do it. You can kind of tick it as a tick box, or you can spend the next 5 years on an epic quest to do this better than anybody's ever done it before because you're a masochist or whatever. If you were, say, I don't know, sort of loyalty dedicated, then whatever your test was, you might be like, oh no, I must do this in a way that exemplifies this virtue. But that would be very much up to you, really.
Because I've seen a number of people going around saying that their test of metal was to fight a duel against someone from every nation.
That's quite a common formulation.
Yeah.
It depends on the house, depends on the person setting it, depends on the values of the house. So, like, I mean, for a very martial house, you are a martial character testing in, that makes a certain amount of sense because you're kind of predicating your sort of right to nobility on your martial skill, and that makes sense. Whereas it would make absolutely bugger all sense for a non-combat weaver to be given a test like that. And setting good tests of metal is a real skill, especially if they're being done in uptime, because you want to make them fun for the player as well as icy challenging.
Personal thing. The most successful tests of metal I've seen have very much been about the errant and the Earl setting the test, knowing each other and kind of bouncing off each other, creating a story between them. I think it's actually a much more personal form of role play. I think people sometimes see it as being.
I think that I know
Yeah.
you're doing a stream just on Dawn and the culture of it, rather than
Yeah.
Dawn and the virtues later. So that might be something that you want to poke people there about as well. So I think you're
Yeah.
going to get.
That's a good shout. I mean,
Yeah.
for example, sort of some houses have really strong traditions about it. So the house that I play in has a really strong international focus for backstory reasons. So, you know, my character's test of metal, which was obviously downtime because its backstory involved travelling. So a lot when it's happening at Anvil, often it will be a X from every nation kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, not necessarily so. But I can totally imagine a Dornish house, which was like, you must sort of like compete these 10
Virtuous,
trials of ambition or whatever.
Yeah. Boba Fett 1970s. He's saying that I hate these tests of fight X people so much. Anyone can fight being a Dornish noble. No, it should be more than that.
Yeah.
So it seems to be a kind of thing. Adam has asked, with regards to a test of metal, can a test of metal be unvirtuous?
Yes.
Totally. It's about.
Okay.
Yeah. There is no contradiction in that at all, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's.
It's possibly worth noting that literally anything can be virtuous or unvirtuous depending on how you're doing it, how you're looking at it, what your intentions are.
That is an icy opinion which is up for debate.
Fair.
Yeah. So we'll discuss that one in a field. So if we move on from the test of metal, then because last night with the orcs we asked about how orc priests interact with priests of other nations. So Matt has said he has asked, how do Dornish priests interact with other nation priests? Cough, Highguard.
we make big A1 massive posters of our hate mail and we stick them in the hub. Well, no, actually, that's just me.
Right.
How do you guys?
I mean, to be fair, as far as I can tell, we make big A1 posters of performances or dramatic situations. Or there was that one time when Highguard was like, "Hey Dawn, you're a bit extra, aren't you? Are you sure that's virtuous?" And we literally doubled down and went, "We're not only extra, we are super extra, and we're going to come and sing a song at you about it."
About
and
how extra we are.
It was amazing. That was Lou, who plays Male Dungeon of House Remus, who created an amazing. You think we're this extra? Actually, we're better than that. We are more than that. That literally persuaded the entirety of the Highguard Assembly to be like, "Okay, I guess you are."
We are so much more OTT than you could possibly imagine.
That's
It's sort of,
fantastic.
I don't know.
You think you know extra? You came into extra. We were born an extra, raised an extra. We did not do normal until we were grown.
It's an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about it because I guess playing in a house which is very international in focus, I kind of take it for granted that actually most of my interactions are outside of the nation. I don't do a whole lot of priesting within Dawn, I've got to say, which is partly a result of things that happened in character that meant my character was avoiding the national campfire, and also sitting on the AO9 does not leave you a whole lot of time in your home camp. It's really, at least I find it really time consuming. So I hadn't really thought about how the character's Dornishness makes her interact with other nations. It certainly makes being in the Brass Coast super culturally awkward, at least as a noble anyway. Just like, let me pay you for your religious advice. That just
You're
stop,
not.
please. This is awkward.
One time a Liga tried to give me coin for anointing them. I was so horrid. And
No,
then my folk wandered up behind and went, "I'll just take that now. Thanks." Great.
Yes.
I would have just said, "Is that all you think it's worth?" I would have taken more.
Oh my word. Busking in the bar, except wasn't busking, was just playing my guitar and singing. because it's a nice thing to do. People kept wandering up and putting coins on the table. I'm like, I'm mid-song and my hands are occupied. I can't do anything, so I'm just going to kind of like be like,
Okay.
shove
So
it under the folder. Nobody can see because this is crass and embarrassing.
something that has been mentioned in because we've done a few of these. I think this is actually the third one. We established in the first one that something that we'd like to see more of when it comes to the virtues is people actually preaching, standing on a street corner outside the tavern, outside a tent, something like that, and preaching. Is that something that either of you two would do, or is it something you've?
It's not super on brief actually for Dawn. Like canonically, the Dornish don't like being preached at very much. That's why we have such a strong storytelling tradition. Like Dornish want to at least in the brief, most Dornish on average want to listen to stories. They want to be inspired by song. They want that kind of slightly more culturally mediated, I'm going to be poncy about it, sort of version of the virtue stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of preaching feels like more of a highborn thing, which is not to say that Dornish priests don't do that. I think they do. It's just sort of the way that you get through to the Dornish generally is not through that route.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not the only thing that I would think a Dornish troubadour, especially if you're a troubadour archetype. Then, I mean, I love the idea as much as anybody else, but it feels much more like a highborn or is anything to do. So I think my character probably does do that. She doesn't enjoy doing it, but it's not kind of her go-to, as it were. I don't know. So other opinions are available.
So
I've spoken before battle or before people have headed off on skirmish. And sort of at particular life events, like sort of over the bodies of the dead. I think I'd probably agree with Ellie. I'm not sure it would be super brief to be standing at the corner of a tavern explicitly preaching. I think I would also agree that I think Dornish troubadouring is... It can take a lot of metaphorical forms. You know, I think it's quite unbrief to work through sort of story or metaphor or poetry or song. I think sort of being straight in someone's face about this is virtuous, let me tell you how to go virtue. Don't know. It is not something that resonates with me hugely, but again, I don't know if that's just a personal response.
I feel like if I were gonna do that, then I would make it very much kind of about the show. Kind of about the oratory, about the rhetoric, and sort of and all of that stuff, which is how I mean, most of what I do in the religion game is actually textual. It's writing, and it's prose. It's not even poetry, which I sometimes not desperately Dornish of her, but out of character, I find public speaking. I'm disabled. I find public speaking very tiring, and I cannot guarantee that I will OC be well enough to do it at any given point. So doing things like art. Writing is stuff that I can do in my own time at my leisure between events and then bring it, and it doesn't rely on me sort of being upright at any given point. So I find that much more accessible. Sort of when I'm thinking about how to do it, it's very much kind of it's all the stuff that I'm not allowed to do in the actual academic writing that I do day to day. So it's brilliant. It's kind of like rhetorical flourish, argument from authority. How about a nice analogy? Twiddly aggressive typefaces. So 2-foot high letters, you know, illuminated, gold-plated. How much more OTT can I make this document? My partner once made me a seal, a document, and it was literally the size of my head. It was huge. So kind of stuff like that. I think sort of even if it's not the core of Dornish religious tradition, you can totally play a Dornish priest who preaches in that manner. But I suspect a Dornish priest does that slightly differently from a highborn priest. You probably have less of the sort of dour, we are serious face about this, and slightly more sort of hand-waving and flappy sleeves going on, like...
I'd love to see a Dornish, like, busking group on a corner, actually, or something. If you had a kind of Dornish trio of troubadours who all could play instruments.
Yeah.
wanted to sing songs about sort of glory and virtue. I think that would be really cool. I'd like that. I wouldn't recommend me doing it ever because I can't sing, but
I want to do that sometime. Just be like, yeah, casually busking. Yeah, nice song about virtue. Nice, really provocative song that's going to piss a lot of people off. Nice song about virtue.
My goodness, is that the chanter of the Silver Skull you're thinking of? I mean, if you want tub thumping preachers, honestly, you've just got to go down market. It's in the marches.
I was going to say High Guard.
Hella good tub thumpers there.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, again, stylistically, that is then different from what you'd see from Highborn, which is a different flavour of earnest.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Because I remember Medea Ruth.
oh,
Medea Ruth.
Because she used to do it. She used to do the whole soapbox thing, didn't she? So
amazing.
yeah. So I mean, that's a fantastic thing. Matt has said that he always thought of Dornish soapbox preaching is more loud storytelling or musical tales.
Yeah,
that would be the super cultural way of doing it. Yeah, I mean, sort of. Yeah, the A1 actually was A0. The A0 poster is sort of probably my character's equivalent of standing on a soapbox in the marketplace. Right. Is sort of like, shut up and listen.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
I think it also needs to be said that to everyone as well that when it comes to doing this sort of thing, and so it's all about what you as a player are comfortable doing as well. So
yes, absolutely.
I like to talk. I think soapbox preaching is a fantastic thing that would be great to see more of in game. I think this is what we discussed on the first stream that we did. It came up and it sort of stuck with me now, and I think I'd love to see more of it. Everyone going, no, this virtue is amazing, but it's not expected. It's not expected of everyone.
It's also worth sort of interrogating why we want to see that and why that's something we faintly expect to see, because it is not a thing in all religious traditions in real life. It really isn't. No. Like it's that kind of evangelizing sort of street corner preacher thing is an artifact of fairly specific religious and cultural history, which is not obtained in all cases, and it doesn't necessarily make sense in all cultures in this fantasy world. Some of them are drawing more on that tradition than others. So kind of if you want to be pretentious and artsy about it, then that's worth thinking about perhaps.
Well, I'm definitely pretentious. It's I think for me, I think it would be a great thing because I like how passionate everyone gets about the virtues. So for me, it's a natural. It seemed like a natural step to have someone go, so vigilance is the greatest by far. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to tell everybody why vigilance is the greatest. It's not, but you know.
A heresy. Pretty sure that's a heresy. I mean, I might have to check my little book of doctrine, but saying this, I mean, that's another reason which is quite sort of like, what are you saying in this sermon? Does it actually make sense in setting? Because saying this virtue is better than all of the others is really deeply questionable, I see. You know, this is why this virtue is better for me in this situation or whatever, sure. But kind of, again, the situations in which that's kind of evangelism attempts to convert, which is often what that kind of street preaching archetype is about in real life, doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the centre of the empire.
Yeah, this is why Steve doesn't play religion game.
And it is enforced.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is why I don't.
I'm not saying that you can't do this, but
no. This is why I don't play the virtue game and things like that. This is just like as Ben said, it's like kind of like Speaker's Corner. So yeah, you are right. I think I mean it as a standard. Go, wisdom is better for me because of these reasons, and I think it would be good for you to do that. So yeah, you are right. So it's just Steve's bad choice of wording, I think on that one.
Sorry. I've been on work calls all day. I'm
a bit. If you want that in Dawn, you could do. You're the best people you could possibly go to for Dawnish performative virtue is probably Lady Cowan de Lancet and Osran Osbel doing their song and story. Osran has a bumper book of virtues and has illustrated some of the past life visions and created that as an actual physical book that wanders around. He tells stories.
It's gloriously editorialized. I love it.
So yeah, there is a seam within Troubadours of people who do that level of stage show of presenting, but it's again in a very, very Dornish flavour, and I've really loved seeing it. It ties a lot into the Dornish art, drama, music. Lady Ailsa Tamerlane runs the Rishield Festival of Arts once a year. That's player created entirely, demonstrations of some of the amazing things that people do.
Yeah. Matt's just written a little story tale. I remember Martin and Clun telling stories at Beaumont's castle, and some other events that on the face of them seem like stories, but afterwards I realised they're telling tales of virtue and glory and love, and to the keener eye it's just the same as any Wintermark hero story or March of Folktale. League do it through plays quite well. Highguard, yeah, it's a dirgy sermon, but we can't be all as extra. We can't all be as extra as Dawn.
Yeah, so Martin plays Osran Orzell and Clun is Starash Orzell. So
Osran Orzell does a mean story.
Yeah.
So just over an hour. I always ask. This is a question I haven't done it in the last ones, but I think I'm going to do it in this one. Just a quick one. Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it with this question actually, because this is a better question. Cheers, Ben. For a new player, what's a good question to start a conversation with a priest?
It could be literally anything.
What kind of response do you want?
Yeah. Do
you want to start a fight? Do you want to?
Sal, what would you like to be asked?
I'm fairly basic. I think if you walk up to me and say, if you walk up to me and say, I want to tell you about my character, I'm probably happy with that. That's kind of what I'm there for. In general, the thing that I enjoy the most are people asking me how I can help them make my virtue relevant. I think generally the best conversations I've had have been where I've been giving someone a little bit of a pep talk to say, you don't feel like you've got an ambition. This is an ambition. You go get him, Tiger, or something. I enjoy that. So if a problem come to me, make it personal.
Yeah, that thing. I think I was very similar in the sort of the pastoral. Something we haven't talked about very much actually is kind of the pastoral side of it, which is to me actually kind of the heart of the priest game. Kind of in Dawn as much as anywhere else. You know, you've got the big public stuff, but also you have the kind of intense one-on-one religious council stuff, and that can be really intense. It can be really personal. It can be absolutely direction changing for a character. And in many ways, sort of the best conversations I've had, and I mean, sort of tastes vary, but are the ones where somebody comes to you and says, I have a religious conundrum. Like, I need to do this thing. I don't know whether it's virtuous or not. I did this thing. Now I'm worried about whether I did it for the reason. Sort of like, I have option A and option B. What should I do? Is this courageous? Is this prosperous? Which virtue is most relevant here? Stuff like that. I mean, I think any priest who is approached with a question of religious guidance is likely to really enjoy that conversation. You'll get a lot of game out of it.
Right, I am going to have to wrap it up there. Okay, something's just come up, so I'm very, very sorry, but I have to wrap it up quite quickly. Thank you so much for doing this, everyone. I really do appreciate it. It's been really, really good. Thanks for watching. I'll be streaming again on Wednesday, chatting and a game, but we'll be back to LARP on Friday, and we will do something then. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm sorry I have to rush the end, okay? But thank you so much for everyone being here. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks for moving us along.
everyone,
Anything is
you
fine.
take care of yourself.
Letting me ramble.
Oh, ramble away, it's fine. But everyone take care. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.